2016 was a year to be remembered by a lot of people. It's some people's favorite year of all time for a multitude of reasons, whether that's Overwatch coming out, the XXL 2016 Freshman Cypher coming out, or the G403, arguably the greatest gaming mouse to ever exist in my opinion. And when that mouse released, I wasn't in the scene, but when I got introduced into the scene in 2020, I discovered the G703, which is the wireless version of the G403. And today we're gonna be talking about its new brother or big brother is going to be the Teevolution Terra. This is the only true one-to-one G703 clone with modern updated specs and a great build quality. So with all that being said, let's get right into it. So to start, this mouse was sent out by Teevolution. That doesn't in any way, shape, or form affect my opinion. As you guys know, I'm not being paid to review the mouse, so I'll be as open and unbiased when talking about everything. So let's get right into it. Starting off with the specifications, so it's using the Pulsar 3950 strike sensor. I'm not really sure what the strike is, but it does perform on par with my other 3950 mice. It weighs around 50 grams and uses the FE optical switches, which are the same switches found in a lot of the newer Pulsar mice, like the X2F, which is a limited edition beta unit that I have, but a lot of mice are not using the FE opticals and they feel fantastic. In terms of build quality, it is built incredibly well, something I would put on par with a brand like Pulsar with their newer mice, at least not the older ones. The structure integrity just feels fantastic. There's not a lot of flex when pushing in on the side, but on the right side of the mouse where there's no buttons, you are getting a little bit more flex when giving it a lot more force than needed. The bottom of the mouse doesn't flex whatsoever, and I found there to be no issues whatsoever when using the mouse. The pre and post travel are decent. You are getting a very small amount of pre-travel, but there's a good amount of post-travel, so if you are doing spam clicks, you will have to be a little bit lighter on your clicks because it does take a while to bottom out. The scroll wheel has a very nice smooth feeling. I wouldn't put it above anything else. It feels very similar to the WL mouse encoder that they use in their mouse like the Strider, Beast X Mini, and the Sword X. It is just a fantastic encoder and I really have no complaints. The scroll wheel works completely fine and it has a very nice muted middle mouse click. The skates that come out of the box intrigued me because they look identical to CorePad Airs, but they were said to not be CorePad Airs. I think they're their own in-house design dotted skate, but I personally don't like them. I'm keeping them on the mouse as I don't really want to replace them. And speaking of replacing them, they do use the exact same skate layout as the G703 and the G403. So if you already have these mice and you have skates that you like for them, you can just transfer them over to your Teevolution Terra with absolutely no complaints. It is actually crazy how they even did that. How did you guys do that? I don't get it. Going on to the click feels, like I said, they are using the FE optical switches. They feel really nice. I found mine to be a little bit on like the original G-Wolves HTX side, where they had this really weird mushy feeling. It feels like you're clicking the click twice. They're not the best clicks in this shell, as when compared to the Pulsar X2 Super Clear, which I believe does use the FE opticals. It just feels fantastic. These ones have a really mushy feeling to them, and in this shell design, I just don't think they're the best fit whatsoever. This mouse is really designed for a claw/palm grip. It's really tall on the hump, and I wouldn't really call it a fingertip mouse whatsoever. It is a relatively large and tall mouse, so if you are playing a claw grip, it's going to be fantastic. If you're playing a fingertip grip, it's going to be not as good, and if you're playing palm grip, it's going to fit like a glove, similar to how the G502 fits in a lot of people's hands for just being a really good ergonomic mouse. Going on the shape comparisons, we're going to talk about its two only other competition in the market. That's going to be the G703 and the X3 Mini, which is the version of the X3 that I have. I would compare it to the medium, but I don't own the medium. So when comparing it to the G703, you are getting very, I cannot stress this enough, very similar grips. They are near identical in every single way. The only ways that they differentiate from each other are with things like the rubberized coating on the Terra, which just feels so much better than the stupid grip things the G703 has. On top of there being no middle mouse button, you don't get that on the Terra. No one uses a middle mouse button for their DPI anymore. A lot of those are pushed to the bottom of the mouse. So this mouse does have an on-off switch and the DPI cycle button on the bottom of the mouse. You also don't get that stupid weight thing. No one ever uses the weight thing. Everyone takes it out. I don't really see why they add weights to mice. But in terms of anything else, they are nearly identical in every single way. You are getting the exact same size side buttons, exact same hump, exact same slant on the mouse as you would on the G703. You're getting a very identical hump profile all the way down to the skate layout. Everything from the Terra is just the G703 in every single way, and I can't stress this enough, it's just a G703 clone. But when compared to the Pulsar X3, which takes a little bit more uniqueness from the G703, you are getting significantly smaller side buttons, and since I do have the Mini, it is going to be a little bit smaller than the original G703, but a lot of the things stay the same. You're not getting the same skate layout. You're also getting a little bit different of a side curve where it doesn't feel as good for a true palm grip. It feels a little bit too pushed forward with the curve of the side of the mouse. Alongside, the tilt of the mouse is nowhere near as aggressive, so it doesn't feel as natural in hand as it does with the G703. In terms of gaming performance, I found myself playing completely fine on the mouse. I would consider myself a washed Valorant player, but here's a couple of clips that I'll be overlaying on the screen so you can see what's happening. It is decent. It's really good for people who like the G703 shape. I used to be a big fan of G703 shape, but after I moved over to more ambidextrous mice, like the Pulsar X2, the G Pro Super Light, it stopped being as comfortable for me, and it took me around 2 or 3 days to get used to using the G703 again, because it's such a different mouse from something like the X2F, something like the X2 Crazy Light. You're seeing a pattern. I like the X2. But it is a fantastic mouse in terms of performance. I have no complaints with center skipping or anything going on with any delays or anything. It just felt fantastic to use in game. It's just a shape I wasn't well adjusted to. And finally, the last really cool thing I want to talk about is the dongle. It uses a OLED tiny screen that's like a clock. It's like a clock on your desk that tells you all the information about the mouse, the DPI, the battery life, everything. It is such a cool dongle, and I think it's just something I needed to point out. I don't see people talk about it enough. It is a fantastic dongle. I think it's one of the coolest dongles on the market. I feel like it's the WL mouse box dongle, but done properly. It is fantastic. It's small, compact, gives you all the information you need to know about the mouse, and that's it on the dongle. That's all I'm going to say. But that should be all for this video. Thank you so much for watching this video all the way to the end. Leave a like if you did. Subscribe if you want to see more. I know I promised a content creator guide this week, but I got busy. Life happens. Hope you guys do enjoy this video, though. The content creator guide is coming out really soon. Everything's finished. I just got to finalize all the pieces and get everything put together. But until then, I will see you guys in the next one. Subscribe.